fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Core Class Dinobot Swoop from the Transformers Legacy Evolution line from Hasbro. So this is our first foray into Wave 3. I actually just found this at my local Target yesterday. Really excited to check it out. Really excited to just be on the hunt for Wave 3 now. Didn't expect it to be coming out this soon, but that's kind of been par for the course for the last couple waves. The packaging on this guy is fantastic. I really love the artwork of the Pterodactyl mode up here on the flap. And then over here on this side, we have some nice artwork of the robot mode. Oh, I think it's kind of interesting. The robot mode depiction over here doesn't really show any of the blue. He just primarily looks yellow and gray. Definitely have more blue here on the figure itself. Not really anything going on the bottom, and over here we just have that kind of standard half of the mural picture for Evolution. Spinning it around to the back, we have some product shots of the robot mode and the Pterodactyl mode. He is part 5 of 6 for Volcanicus. I know I'm going a little bit out of order here, but so be it. Yeah, I'm excited to check this guy out. I'm going to go ahead and get him out of the packaging here, and we'll take a closer look. So here's Swoop out of the packaging, and honestly, he looks phenomenal. He has such a clean robot mode. They did a really nice job with this. He has a ton of paint applications as well. We'll start here with the head. Now, unfortunately, mine has the tiniest little paint chip on the nose there, as you can see. It's not super noticeable if I don't look super close at it, but another thing that's kind of not noticeable unless you look super close, his mouth. You can tell that it was sculpted, and then when they applied the silver paint for the face, it kind of hides it a little bit. It's still there, but it is kind of hidden. I wish they could have done something to kind of accentuate that a little bit. Maybe just like a little bit of black paint for the outline of the mouth. Or I don't know how you'd fix it. But overall, the silver paint for the face, the blue paint for the eyes, especially the red paint here for the helmet. Really, really looks sharp. I like that. You have some nice blue paint here on the chest. All of this beautiful gold here for what will be the pterodactyl head. Nice Autobot symbol, the blue eyes of the pterodactyl. All that really, really looks sharp. The wings are done in this white plastic. You can see that the arms are done in a grayish plastic. But then down here for the legs, they're actually done in this white plastic. And then they had to paint them this kind of silvery gray color, which I think looks really, really good. It matches the gray plastic pretty well and just looks really sharp. You have a nice red line there. Unfortunately, we didn't get the red line on the inside of the legs as well. But again, given how much paint they put on this guy, I can't really complain. He really does look sharp. I think he looks pretty fantastic. He's got great articulation as well. The head can look all the way back. Now, this is because of the transformation, but still, if you wanted him to kind of be flying, and that way you could actually have him look where he's going, which is nice, you can get, of course, some side-to-side. Now, I will say, it does seem like the ball joint is getting a little loose, as you can see there. Shouldn't be a huge problem. I mean, it'll still hold the poses you want, but it can kind of just like randomly fly back, but can look down a little bit, tilt a little bit side to side, but not much. But certainly the back and the just looking side to side, really great range of motion there. You have a ball joint in the shoulder, so you can kind of go about that far out to the side and go all the way around. You have to move the wing out of the way. You can see the wings here are on these little hinge pieces. If they pop off, it's very simple to just pop them back on. There's no pin or anything through them. But you can get a pretty good range of motion out of these as well. And if you wanted to unpeg the wings, you can see that they're just kind of pegged in here, folded in half with this hinge. So we can go ahead and pop this off. If you wanted to have him have, full wing extension in robot mode, you can do that. I like the look of them folded up. I feel like that's very traditional and reminiscent of the original G1 toy. So I like that look. But again, you can go straight back, do a little bit like a 45-degree angle, which is kind of what I like. Or if you want them all the way against, you can do that as well. But if you have them back, you can get the full range of motion out of the shoulder here. You do have this tab here, which is used to kind of peg it to the body in transformation. So you kind of want to be careful navigating that while you're moving the arm around at the shoulder. You have another ball joint here in the elbow. This is one solid piece, of course, so nothing in the wrist. You do have a waist swivel, but you kind of have to lift the pterodactyl head up to utilize it, and also make sure that the wings aren't in the way, because when they start to move, they'll hit into the folded wings. So if you want to utilize it, you kind of have to unpeg the wings here, and they do peg in really tightly, so just move them out of the way, and then you can utilize that waist swivels. So you have to move a lot of stuff out of the way to utilize it, but it is there if you would like the waist swivel. You have a ball joint at the hip, so you can kick pretty far out to the side. You can even kick pretty far back before it hits into the wings, and you can kick really far forward. You have a thigh swivel, and then you do have, this is really a transformation joint, and you can do a 180 there, but it is also his knees. So you got 180 in the knee, nothing in the ankle, of course, because it's a little core class figure. But for a core class, this guy's got a shocking amount of articulation. So, I mean, really clean robot mode, great paint applications, wonderful articulation. I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb and kind of just say I think this is the best Dinobots so far. I haven't taken a look at Scar yet, but this guy's pretty perfect. I mean, we have elbows, which is something most of the other Dinobots do not have, so that proves it is possible. He's pretty fantastic. Oh, I forgot, he does come with 2 accessories, so they do combine together to make the fist for the combine mode, but you can pop them apart. And this is also done in that white plastic, but then completely painted black. But they did a nice job of not painting the grab spots, so like this will go into his hand where they peg into each other. And also they didn't paint the inside, so in case you want him to hold any accessories, you know, it shouldn't be a problem. I don't really know what accessories this is going to have. I guess if you just want to give it a gun or something from somebody else. But he's kind of got a blaster built onto the end here. And it looks like that should be blast effect compatible. So these are like little blasters. So if you want, he can hold them in his hands like this. And I believe the original test shots had these in the white plastic, so they weren't even painted yet. But there you go. He can dual wield these, or you can peg them onto the wings. So you'll see these 2 connector spots right here. And there is a large square notch right there. And you can go ahead and peg it on right there. If I can line it up correctly. I did this previously. You know what? I'm using the wrong one. That's why. The fists have to go to the outside, because otherwise they'll be in the way. So if you remember, the original G1 toy had like missile pods here. So these are kind of reminiscent of that. And so you can store them on here. It's a little goofy because like the giant fists are hanging out right there. But if you want them to have kind of like missile pods on the wings, you can absolutely do that. I feel like the black clashes with the rest of the color scheme, though. I understand why it was done, because it's the fist of the larger robot. But just the black with this color scheme, I feel like it really clashes, so that's why I don't really want him to have them on the wings. As guns, it doesn't bother me that much, because that's just an accessory. But here, it kind of feels like it's part of the robot mode, and it just kind of clashes for me. But you can also mount him in the same place in the Pterodactyl mode so that he can have guns while he is flying about. But I'll take these off for now. But yeah, honestly, this guy's near flawless in my opinion. Easily the best Dinobot so far. And speaking of all of the Dinobots, let's get a group shot going on here. So we have Fat Boy Sludge. We have Slag, aka Slug. And then we have Grimlock. So let's get everybody in frame here. But yeah, they look great together. Honestly, these are shaping up pretty good. I'm pretty happy with them. I feel like they did Sludge first because they knew he was going to kind of be the weakest. And so they wanted... I mean, I guess technically Slug was first, but they came out at the same time. But I feel like he's the weakest one. He has to kind of be the load bearer of the combination for Volcanicus. So he's kind of more structural than aesthetic. Everyone else, I feel like, has a pretty decent aesthetic. And I feel like they've only gotten better. Like, I think Slug was pretty good. Grimlock was a little better. And now we have Swoop, which is the best so far. We'll see how Scar measures up, because technically Scar comes before Swoop. But this guy's pretty phenomenal. And the 4 of these together look really, really cool. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into transformation. Very simple, but very good. I'm going to start by unpegging the wings here. And again, they can be a little snug, and also it's just kind of difficult to grab a hold of them to pop them out. But there we go. Once that's done, then we are going to take the head and rotate it straight back like so. We're going to grab the pterodactyl head, and that is going to rotate around and clip up into place like that. I think the pterodactyl head looks great. Unfortunately, the mouth does not open. I was really hoping that it would, but unfortunately, it does not. Then we are going to push the legs together, and they will just tab into one another at this little spot right here. And then we are going to flip this around at the knees, 180 degrees, and you can see that there are these two tab spots right here for these two tabs here, and that'll just pop right on there. At this point, you're basically done. You're just going to take the arms and push them against. So this tab will go into that spot there, and this tab will go into, which one does this go into? The top one right there. So this just goes against the body and just tabs into place. And I feel like the transformation is pretty reminiscent of the original G1 toy, but it's a classic for a reason. And it's a great little pterodactyl mode. I think this looks really, really good. I like it quite a bit. Like I said previously, if you want to pop the gun/hand pieces back on the wings where they were, he can have these little guns firing while he's in pterodactyl mode. Let's pop that on there. So there you go. Doesn't seem to clash as much in this mode just because it's kind of mostly hidden. So you just kind of have the little guns hanging out. But yeah, he looks pretty cool. Let's go ahead and bring our Dinobots back in for another group shot. There we go, that's good. Very cool. I wish I had a little flight stand or something for this guy, but very cool. Like I said, we still have 2 more to go. I'm very interested to see what Snarl's going to look like, but these guys are shaping up pretty great. I think it was a little difficult at first because when these are the first 2 you're getting, one of them's pretty good, one of them's pretty terrible, and I kind of killed my enthusiasm, but then it was renewed a little bit with Grimlock here, and now Swoop is just fantastic. So I love seeing these guys together. I think this is a lot of fun. I also just wanted to mention quick, there's not really any articulation in this mode. He does have little dino feet here, so if you're kind of hoping he could have like a standing mode, you can kind of bring the pterodactyl head down, but then that's going to expose the robot head, so it looks a little ridiculous, but technically you could do something like this. If you take these pieces off, you can bring the wings forward past the hinge a little bit. So if you wanted to do some kind of pose like that, it's really just a matter of, you know, that head just hanging out there. But if you wanted to do something like this, like a perched pose, you kind of can. It's just not amazing, but it's kind of doable. Otherwise, you can kind of, you know, do like a wing flapping simulation here with the amount of movement. Because of the legs being here now, it can only go this far. That's where it hits and stops. But you could still kind of simulate like some kind of flapping going on there. But other than that, not really any articulation in this mode. So next we move on to his arm configuration. Now the directions say to go from pterodactyl mode. Honestly, I feel like you could go from either pterodactyl mode or robot mode because it's kind of the perfect halfway point between the two. There's not much to it. We're going to just unhook the legs and flip them back down like so. We are going to unhook the arms. And then while everything is still, you know, out of the way, we can rotate the waist 180 degrees like so. And then it wants you to just push the arms back down. And sadly, that's kind of it. We're going to just take this little connector piece here and pop this out to about there. And this is kind of the transformation. Now, the only other step they want you to do is to fold the wings in and peg them in. The only problem is when you do that, you really can't move this at all anymore. So you kind of have to decide what look you like is what I'm trying to say. You have a little bit of customization options. Now, they want you to kind of put the wings back. If you put the wings all the way back, I kind of like the full wing out to the side look. And this also makes it so you can still move this around a little bit. So if you wanted to give like some kind of elbow to him, because the way they want you to do this is leave it like this and then kind of like bend it this way. So it's kind of like his arms go like that, which I think is a little weird, but you could kind of turn it like this and give him an elbow. Now, granted, it's very hollow and that doesn't look the best, but the other thing I like to do, if you have, see, unfortunately, even when you have these like this, you can't peg the arms in on the secondary spot because they don't line up anymore. So I like to take the arms and do something like this, where I just kind of put them back like this, just to get them a little bit more out of the way. I mean, you could even take them and go something like this if you didn't care about them hooking onto this section. You could do something like that, which I feel like, again, just kind of gets them out of the way and just kind of makes it seem a little bit more cohesive instead of having stuff just kind of all over the place. So I kind of like to do something like this. And then this way you have full range of motion here for this joint. You can utilize the elbow if you want. I just think that looks a little bit cleaner. Again, it doesn't matter. At this point, all you really need is this part of the connection. So you can kind of play with this a little bit. If you want to fold the wings in, you can. But when you do that, they're going to, sit into this area, and that's going to restrict all of this. So I kind of like to leave them. I also just kind of think it looks cooler out to the side like that. I did forget to bring the fists in, so that's going to be another big component of this. So we're going to take the two fists. We are going to peg them together like so. And you can see these two big slots right here, which are going to pop on right here. So this will pop on like that. So again, it gives him an elbow, but because of the way the fists are attached, it does look a little weird, and because it's so hollow here, so it's not the best. But if you really want that joint, it is there. Otherwise, you could just kind of leave it like this, or if you really want to be completely accurate to the directions, we can bring this down, put this back like this. This rotates around and comes down like this. And then, again, completely accurate to the directions, this would fold in. Now, because of this, you'd have to leave them at a 45-degree angle because they're going to hit into the hips. So this is the official directions way to transform him into an arm. But like I said, I kind of like the other way because you don't have as much stuff in the way. Now, this is fairly cohesive as well, I guess, because like the arms are kind of into the legs like that. So again, it's purely aesthetic. You're going to get pretty much the same functionality out of it, but you have a few customizable options there. This is the main connector. This is where it's going to attach to Volcanicus, and then you're mostly going to get like a swivel there, and you'll get a little bit of out to the side with this pin joint like that. So I would do the full Volcanicus combination, but it's only going to have one leg, so it's not going to stand up very well. Maybe in the Scar review I'll do that, because then he'll have both arms. Otherwise he'll just be missing an arm and a leg. But basically this is going to connect into the side, and you'll have the swivel, and then you'll have this pin for out to the side right there. And then again, depending on if you want the official configuration, that's all you'll get. If you do what I showed with the wings, you could use the swivel there and then the leg joint for kind of an elbow. But unfortunately, with the way the fists connect, it's going to look a little awkward either way. But there you go. There's arm mode. I think Swoop is pretty perfect, especially for a core class figure. I mean, they did a really great job with this one. He's got great articulation, great paint applications, really clean robot mode. The Pterodactyl mode is fantastic. The transformation is simplistic but fun. I mean, there's just not really anything to complain about this guy. I mean, I guess the arm configuration for the Volcanicus combination is not the best, but I feel like if you just do a little bit of a fan transformation with it, I think you can get a lot more articulation out of it. I think it looks a little better. But even if you prefer the official, transformation combination instructions, that's perfectly fine. I mean, it's going to get the job done. I think Volcanicus is going to end up being more fun than I originally thought, and I'm really excited to see how it turns out as Dino King. But I think this guy's on pace to be the best of the Dinobots, honestly. We'll have to see how Scar and Snarl measure up, but he's definitely on pace to be number one. I mean, he looks great. Really, really nice job. And I'm still kind of just blown away by the legs. I don't know why they didn't just make it out of the gray plastic like the thighs, but they decided to make it out of the white plastic, and then this beautiful paint job on the legs matches the gray. It's hard to even tell, but it's got a little bit of a metallic sheen to it. The red stripe there just all looks really perfect. They did such a good job with this little guy. I love him. If I had to complain about one tiny thing, and this is not even really a complaint, but if I had to pick one thing, The fact that the silver paint on the face kind of hides the mouth, kind of washed it out a little bit. It's still there, it's just very faint, and even kind of from here, it almost looked like in a certain light, it looks like he doesn't have a mouth. Again, it's a minor thing, but if I had to pick something, honestly, this guy's a ton of fun. I definitely recommend him, and like I said, he's my favorite of the bunch so far, and it's very possible that he will stay my favorite until the end. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.